Now there we go again, but solving a few more questions on solving a few more problems on equations with indices. Now let's go. The first one, we're going straight to the solution. The first one is 2 raised to the power 2x, 2 raised to the power 2x plus 1 minus 5 times 2 raised to the power x plus 2 equals 0. Now what do we do here? Of course, look at this. 2 raised to the power 2x plus 1. Let's go. Let's see that 2 raised to the power 2x plus 1 is the same as 2 raised to the power 2x times 2 raised to the power 1. Just as we know that a raised to the power x times a raised to the power y equals a raised to the power x plus y. If the left hand side is the same as the right hand side, then we can also say the right hand side is equal to the left hand side. So 2 raised to the power 2x plus 1 is the same as 2 raised to the power 2x times 2 raised to the power 1. That's applying the first law we wrote of indices. So that's the first thing we do. 2 raised to the power 2x times 2 raised to the power 1 minus 5 times 2 raised to the power x plus 2 equals 0. Now I can also write 2 raised to the power 2x as the square of 2 raised to the power x, which means 2 raised to the power x, which is written this way, times 2 raised to the power 1 is the same as 2 minus 5 times 2 raised to the power x plus 2 equals 0. And that simply means, now what do? I'm just finding a way to make this equation look easily like a quadratic equation. In this form, it's already a quadratic equation. We're just writing it in a simpler form. So what do? Let k be equal to 2 raised to the power x. If k is equal to 2 raised to the power x, then the equation becomes k squared times 2, which is 2k squared, minus 5k, because 2 raised to the power x is k, plus 2 equals 0. Now we can solve this. We can see now that it is clearly a quadratic equation, which we can solve by the factorization method, and that's the same as saying 2k squared minus 4k minus k plus 2 equals 0, which simply means 2k into brackets k minus 2 minus 1 into brackets k minus 2 equals 0. We are following. That's simple, and that's the same as 2k minus 1 times k minus 2 equals 0, which simply means 2k minus 1 equals 0, or k minus 2 equals 0, and that means 2k equals 1 or k equals 2. If 2k is equal to 1, that means k is equal to 1 over 2 or k equals 2. And we know that k is 2 raised to the power x. So what that simply means is 2 raised to the power x equals 1 over 2 is the same as 2 raised to the power minus 1, or 2 raised to the power x equals 2 is the same as 2 raised to the power 1, and that therefore means x equals minus 1 or x equals 1. And that's it, very, very simply. Wasn't that a piece of cake? Now let's go to the next. What's the next question? The next question is what's that? Solve 3 raised to the power, let me just bring that down, 3 raised to the power 2x plus 2 times 3 raised to the power x minus 3 equals 0. And that's a question. There you go, that's it. How do we do this? 3 raised to the power 2x, I can write that simply as the square of 3 raised to the power x. The square of 3 raised to the power x plus 2 times 3 raised to the power x minus 3 equals 0. And that's the same as, now it's a quadratic equation, but let me make it simpler by writing it this way. By making 3 raised to the power x q, let q be equal to 3 raised to the power x, and that simply means q squared plus 2q minus 3 is equal to 0. Now I can solve this quadratic equation by the factorization method. And what do I get if I do that? That simply means q squared plus 3q minus 3 equals 0, which simply means q into brackets q plus 3 minus 1 into brackets q plus 3 equals 0, which means q minus 1 times q plus 3 equals 0. And that simply means q minus 1 equals 0, or q plus 3 equals 0, which means q is equal to 1 or q is equal to minus. Of course, this is a q equals minus 3, but we know that q is 3 raised to power x. So that therefore means 3 raised to power x equals 1. I can write 1 as 3 raised to power 0, or 3 raised to power x equals minus 3. Now you have to be careful here. If this were 3 raised to power x equals 3, I would have said it's the same as, it would have been correct to say that's the same as 3 raised to power 1. But here, the number here is negative. Oh no, this is a negative number. So you're going to say it has no solution. There's no solution. You say that has no solution. That doesn't have a solution. And it means the equation would only have one solution, and that's going to be this: 3 raised to power x equals 3 raised to power 0. And that therefore means x equals 0. And that's it, very, very simply. Now we go straight to the next. And what's the next? Which is C. That is solve the equation x raised to power 2 over 3 minus 5x raised to power 1 over 3 plus 6 equals 0. Let's bring that down here. This is the equation. Yeah, that's the equation. X raised to power 2 over 3 minus 5x raised to power 1 over 3 plus 6 equals 0. What do we do here? First of all, I can rewrite the equation as x raised to power 1 over 3, the square of x raised to power 1 over 3, the square of x raised to power 1 over 3, let me write that well, the square of x raised to power 1 over 3 minus 5 times x raised to power 1 over 3 plus 6 equals 0. Of course, you can see that this is the same as this. That's it. So what do we have now? We can now say, what are we using this time? Let w be equal to x raised to power 1 over 3. And the equation becomes w squared minus 5w plus 6 equals 0. Please don't use the letter 0 so that you don't make it look like, don't use the letter O so that you don't mistake it for a 0. Now, and don't use a letter that's already given in the equation. For example, we already have x, so we cannot say let x again be equal to x raised to power 1 over 3. That will be confusing. So now this simply means we can now solve this by the factorization method. And to do that, we have w squared minus 3w minus 2w plus 6 equals 0, which simply means w into w minus 3 minus 2 into w minus 3 equals 0. And that means w minus 2 times w minus 3. I know we all know factorization already, and that simply means w minus 2 equals 0, or w minus 3 equals 0, which means w equals 2 or w equals 3. And that therefore means, because we know that w is equal to x raised to power 1 over 3, then I'm going to write x raised to power 1 over 3 equals 2, or x raised to power 1 over 3 equals 3, which simply means, what do we now do? If x raised to power 1 over 3 is equal to 2, that simply means x is equal to the cube root of 2, or x raised to power 1 over 3 equals 3. Oh no, what are we doing? X raised to power 1 over 3 equals 2. That simply means raising both sides to the power of 3. Yeah, raise both sides to the power of 3. Although, no mistakes, please. If you raise both sides to the power of 3, of course, 1 over 3 times 3, x, then you have x raised to power. 1 over 3 times 3 is 1. You can see that. 3 here, 1, 3 here, 1. That's x raised to power 1 equals 2 raised to power 3, which is equal to 8. I was going to miss that. That means x equals 2 raised to power 3, or x equals 3 raised to power 3. Yeah. So, which simply means x equals 8, or x equals 27. Please take note, if x raised to the power 1 over 3 equals 2, then you find the cube of both sides, which simply means x equals 2 raised to the power 3, 8. Of course, that's it, very, very simply. All right, and that's it, very, very simply. Don't forget, as usual, if you'd like a one-on-one engagement or teaching, you can just send us a DM at Talk to Your Tutor, and we'll be glad to find time to teach you. Your success is very, very important to us, and you really have no reason whatsoever to cheat. Don't let anybody scare you. Secondary school math is the simplest thing ever, and it's always a piece of cake, however tricky it looks. Talk to Your Tutor is is where you would find us on Twitter. Just send us a DM and say you'd like a one-on-one teaching. I will reach out to you and then find time to do that for you, and we'll sure you would appreciate it, because it's going to be worthwhile. And it would be nice if you follow us on Twitter and subscribe to the channel too. All right, take care and God bless you. I'll see you in the next. Bye bye.